All right, welcome to the Rotary Club of Des Moines' first meeting in November 2022. I'm President Matt Busick, and I'm happy to have you here. I'd like to start by introducing 5 guests, and if you could please stand for a brief moment so we can all see you. First is Matt Cohen. Matt joins us from RDG and is one of the founders of the Avenues, guest of our speaker. Kathy Furman is with us today. She is president of Furman Investments and a guest of John Shores. Zach Nunn is a candidate for Iowa's 3rd Congressional District and a guest of David Ullman. Welcome, Zach. Matt Powers joins us from Bankers Trust. Matt. Mason. My name is Matt. It must be the M thing. Sorry about that. Although I think you probably claim that, all right? Kelly Schrock is new executive director of the Des Moines Public Libraries Foundation, a guest of Sue Woody. Welcome. Okay, so after today's meeting, bear with me a second. After today's meeting, we have 2 activities that we want you to be part of. The first is please stay after lunch to help with Sue Woody. Recall the Community Service Committee and Sue are partnering with the Des Moines Public Library for the Simple Steps program to provide literacy kits for all of Des Moines preschool students. Join them in the back of the room, and Sue tells me we're going to be set up back there where the food is, directly following today's meeting if you can spare the time. Second, tonight at 5:30, we will be convening with Deborah Peckham at the East Village Union Depot, which is newly renovated. That is at 120 East 5th Street in the East Village. Hope you could make it. If you can, that'd be great. Last week we heard from Colleen, Rogers Messenger, about the need to help students and their families at Edmonds Elementary School for this Thanksgiving. There are sign-up sheets on your table. Please take a look and be generous. We're hoping to support 150 families this Thanksgiving, and each gift for Thanksgiving is $50. We can bill you through the Rotary Club dues process. All right, you will also see on tables that we have another community service project. It's that time of year, and we're going back to ringing the Salvation Army bell. Please sign up for that if you would like to get involved. You can do that either by the name badges or online. All right, now, last week Kitty shared how you can take part in a new Rotary Club of Des Moines activity where you can take flat knee anywhere you're going and traveling. The idea is this is a clever way to share with us where you've been. And I would like Dick to stand. Dick and I went on a trip last week through Nebraska to Colorado. So you can see there are several pictures that Dick has forwarded with me along with him on his trip. So I think Dick had a lot of fun. I expect all of you, when you get a chance to go out and do some traveling, to take me with you, a flat knee version, that is, and have fun with it. And then report back, of course, so that we can show where you've been traveling. I think it's a fun way as a conversation starter with everybody. Okay, so now what we'd like to do is invite past President Don Flannery to the podium. Don is going to represent the foundation today with a quick update on what's going on. And after Don, Skeet will, the Wells Fargo team is taking over today. Skeet will be our moment of inspiration, 4-way test and pledge thereafter. And finally, Judy will be introducing today's guest speaker.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much, President Matt. It's my honor this year to serve as the president of our local Rotary Club of Des Moines Foundation. Your $25 quarterly donations help fund the good causes that our local foundation supports, like our 6 4-year scholarships that we give away every spring. our Educator of the Year awards, our Police and Firefighter of the Year awards. The books we donate to the Rotary Rosie Reader Van in honor of our weekly speakers. And of course, our $40,000 community grant, which we will be awarding later this year on December 8th. So the announcement today is we're bringing back the tumblers. For those of you that are, the tumblers went away during COVID, like a lot of things changed, but we're bringing them back. The board believes it's the right thing to do, and I certainly support it. For our newer members, the tumblers for many years, actually many decades, there was a tumbler on every table, and we'd come to the meeting, everybody donate about $3, and we'd pass the cup. Sometimes the president would hand out fun fines and so forth to insubordinate members during the meeting, but it evolved to the point now where many of us donate $150 a year, and that's represented by the little green dollar signs on our badges. So to all of you that do donate on an annual basis, thank you very much. But just because you do that doesn't mean you can't put a little more in the cup if you are so inclined. So we're going to start in December. We really appreciate your support with that. Kitty will send out receipts, as she always does, for people that do go with the $150 route. If you don't have a green sticker and want to contribute that way, please check with Kitty. And many thanks to all of you that support the foundation. Now this also means we're going to need a little help. Every week we need 2 volunteers to help after the meeting to collect the tumblers and do the accounting. It's really a smooth process, doesn't take much more than just a few minutes. So please sign up in the lobby or online to help us out, and so we can support the local foundation of Des Moines. Thank you very much for your support, and have a great rest of the day. And at this point, I'd like to invite up past President Ski.
Thank you. Your applause was underwhelming. In case you hadn't heard, next Tuesday is Election Day. And we have a chance to go to the polls and exercise our rights as a citizen. And there's been a lot of conversation lately about democracy. So I thought, well, it'd be interesting to try to find some interesting quotes about democracy and from some interesting people. Robert Byrne said that democracy is being allowed to vote for the candidate you dislike the least. Winston Churchill said, no one pretends that a democracy is perfect or all wise. Indeed, it has been said that democracy is the worst form of government, except for all those other forms that have been tried from time to time. H.L. Mencken said that democracy is the theory that the common people know what they want and deserve to get it, good and hard. You can laugh if you want. Alexis de Tocqueville said, democracy and socialism have nothing in common but one word, equality. But notice the difference. While democracy seeks equality and liberty, socialism seeks equality in restraint and servitude. And last but not least, Abraham Lincoln said, elections belong to the people. It's their decision. If they decide to turn their back on the fire and burn their behinds, then they will just have to sit on their blisters. With that, if you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the four-way test.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And while you're standing, for those of you who are right-handed, if you would raise your hand. And those of you who are left-handed, would you raise your hand? Now keep your hands up. Now turn and high five with your nearest Rotarian.
Very nice. Good to see you. Nervous there. Hi.
Well done as always.
Hi, Judy.
You can see elephants. Good afternoon. I have a question for you. How many of you know where Andrew, Iowa is? Does anyone know where Andrew is? See, I would have won this prize. Lauren is from Andrew, and I knew where it was because I'm from Dubuque, and Andrew is a tiny little town not far from Dubuque, a little bit south in Jackson County.
Ask them if they know what Andrew's known
Do you know what Andrew is known for?
for.
Lauren, of course.
Need some Iowa history buffs. The first governor of Iowa is from Andrew, and he's buried there. Who knows who the first governor of Iowa is?
David Oman.
Ansel Briggs. Ansel Briggs.
So you should go visit Andrew.
Please do.
It's a little, it won't take you long. But, you know, and this is a completely side note, I'm way off the topic, but I saw that Vermont has 251 towns, and a big thing in Vermont is for everyone to visit all 251 towns. And I thought about Iowa, and I have no idea how many towns Iowa has, but I do know that at one time Iowa had the most spread out population of any state in the country because of farm to market roads, etc. So I'm sure we have many, many more. But you can make that your contest. As you can see, Lauren and I have a number of things in common. And one is our interest in the avenues of Ingersoll and Grand. I've lived on Grand for 30 years, so I've seen the changes made. Lauren brings to us a really interesting background. Now, she sent me her bio, and it was very short. And it talked about the work she does is, I would say, the Jill of all trades, because as the only employee of the avenues, she wears many different hats in developing that area. But in today's world, when you can go to LinkedIn and elsewhere to find out about people, you can find some of their history. She spent time in Berlin. She's a graduate of Drake with her BA in journalism with a summa cum laude. So she certainly was a great student, but she's also a great student of yoga, which she is an instructor of. But let's hear about the avenues where she's doing a great job.
Thank you, Judy, for that nice introduction. Like she said, I am Lauren Koloff. I do see a few familiar faces in the room. Zach Nunn, a fellow Drake grad. Dave, I interned at your station a long, long time ago. You helped me realize that I didn't think I wanted to be an on-air TV reporter, which it's a valuable thing to learn. Before you, yes, honestly, yeah, it taught me that. But everyone I worked with there is really great and nice. So thank you for having me here at the Rotary. I'm really honored. I saw who else you guys have speak, so I'm surprised but delighted that you wanted to hear from me and learn about what is happening on the avenues. So Kitty promised me that this will work. Woohoo. Okay, so I have a nice little map up here. So I think when many people hear Ingersoll Avenue or Grand Avenue, they often identify these streets as corridors. How to get from downtown to West Des Moines or vice versa. And certainly our history as a commuter thoroughfare has been part of our success in developing the different retail and dining options we have on the avenues. However, it is one of the goals of the avenues of the Ingersoll and Grand to make this more than just corridors and more of a destination. And so we generally describe the avenues as the area between MLK and 42nd Street. So you can see on the screen there, it's that sort of like blue shaded area, Ingersoll and Grand. And then if you also notice, oh, she told me this had a laser. There's another little like blue outline here. And that is actually the boundaries of our SMID district. So does anyone know what a SMID district is? Yeah, good. Self-supported municipal improvement district, which is a mouthful. But basically it means that property owners in this like very defined area here, it's a voluntary tax levy. So they contribute to a fund that we use for maintenance, marketing, promotion, events, all of that. But the avenues as a district is larger than just that SMID district. I also like this map here because it shows how our district relates to other nearby things in Des Moines, right? So we are a great connector between the sculpture park and the art center. We are really close to a lot of recreational amenities in the city, Waterworks Park, the Bill Riley Trail System, Greenwood Park, Grays Lake. We've got, Drake University just to the north. And we're also a really good connector to a lot of bike and pedestrian trails. So I think that really encapsulates our vision, which is to be Des Moines' mosaic of people-to-people connections, culture, and commerce. All right, another map for you. I promise this is the last one. So the blue shaded area from the previous slide, this is now the black outline you see. And this is actually the official boundaries of the urban renewal area, which is a designation from the city of Des Moines. That's just to say that we work very closely with the city of Des Moines on a lot of our projects and efforts from this urban renewal area. The SMID district requires an annual operating agreement with the city. And I also like this map because it shows all of the different neighborhoods we touch. So I live right up here in north of Grand, the pinkish purplish section, and I understand there's a lot of people in this room who live in a neighborhood that touches the avenues. I won't make you high five, but does anyone want to raise a hand if they live in one of these neighborhoods? Yeah, you're all my neighbors. Yeah, so we touch all of these neighborhoods, and it was a really big factor in why my husband and I decided to purchase a home here, is that we knew we'd be within walking distance of a lot of our favorite restaurants. We have a grocery store and a pharmacy and a lot of other service providers, a veterinarian for our dog, and I think that's also why a lot of you probably decided to live in this neighborhood. And so I think people enjoy this neighborhood because of those amenities, also quick connections to downtown or the highway or out west. And then also just a more walkable, beautiful feel, character that is different than you might experience in some of other Des Moines neighborhoods or suburbs. Okay, so our mission, clean, safe, and beautiful. That's what we say a lot here. That's what guides a lot of our maintenance work on the avenues. We also want to advance this cultural district built on civility, history, inclusion, and access for all. And then just as a model for urban planning, a lot of the things we try out on the avenues, whether it's streetscape or public art, you see replicated in other areas of the city. So we're proud to be sort of those guinea pigs and try things out and see what works and what doesn't, and learn from those things. You'll also notice up at the top here that we are a SMID, like I mentioned, but we're also a 501c3, and we work together. Here's a bunch of words that sort of just describes the differences between, like I said, we're two boards. They merged in 2020. Matt and Kathy here are both members of my boards. Thank you very much for giving your time and talents. So yeah, on the left here, that's the SMID. That's what I was talking about, that tax levy. The SMID is a 501c6 nonprofit, which is similar to what chambers of commerce are, but we're not a membership organization. You don't have to pay annual dues. If you're on the avenues, you're a member of the avenues. And then the 501c3, if anybody in this room knows Susie McBroom, she started Restoration Ingersoll back in the late 90s as just sort of a group of neighbors who wanted to make their neighborhood a better place. And that sort of evolved into Restoration Ingersoll, the 501c3. Okay, I apologize, my slides did not come over correctly, but here's just some images of some recent activities we've done on the avenues, sort of smaller scale placemaking efforts. We've got the City Sounds piano, which we've done for several years. It's placed outside of Ted's Coney Islands. They are great stewards of that piano. On the bottom here you see the Black Crown, which was a piece commissioned by a local artist. It's placed up at Plymouth Place on 42nd and Ingersoll, and we've had several other public art installations, from murals to projector art along Ingersoll over the years. Up top, Streetscape Salsa Garden. That was planted in 2 of our beds just this summer. My greatest fear was that nothing would grow, but we had some monster tomato plants. And it was really great to see members of the community take advantage of that fresh produce. Down on the bottom, this was a progressive dinner that we partnered with Winefest for this spring. Ingersoll is really known as a dining destination. I think in the Register's most recent list of essential restaurants, the largest concentration of essential restaurants in Des Moines was right on the avenue. So we're really proud of that. And Winefest loved us so much that we're going to be having the progressive dinner on Ingersoll again next year. So that's very exciting. All of these efforts have led us to become designated an Iowa Cultural and Entertainment District, which is a designation from the Iowa Department of Cultural Affairs and the Iowa Arts Council. Another local CED would be Valley Junction. So we're part of a network across the state of these cultural and entertainment districts. Beautification, that's another really big thing we do on the avenues. It's probably underappreciated or overlooked sometimes, but it's a huge part of our budget. Matt and I were just discussing. We have a contract with Lawn Ranger. They are a local landscaping business, and you'll see their trucks out on our street quite a bit. And they maintain those beds, the in-ground planters, and then they also do less fun things, like graffiti cleanup and trash pickup. And then they also do some beautiful seasonal plantings. We had some pretty flowers in the spring, and then they got replaced with edible cabbages in the fall, and soon we'll have little mini Christmas trees. Ingersoll Live. Was anybody at Ingersoll Live this year? Oh yeah, I know Jason was. Cool. Yeah, so Ingersoll Live, it was our 18th annual Ingersoll Live, my first time planning an Ingersoll Live, and I'd say it was fairly successful. We had 10 to 15,000 people down there. The street was packed, even though the weather was threatening to rain on us all day long. It didn't scare anyone away. This is our signature event. It started in a parking lot, and now it takes over a whole block. We have music, we have art, we have activities for the kids, vendors, food, a little something for everyone. And you can mark your calendars. It'll be back next year. It's always the last Saturday of August. Okay, so I already fielded a few questions about this in the food line, about the streetscape, and I am very glad that I was invited to speak this week, because if you haven't heard, Ingersoll is reopened to two-way traffic. That happened last week. So if you haven't been down to Ingersoll lately, please come back. Come see the streetscape. Come visit our amazing retailers and restaurants. They missed you, we missed you. Please come back and see it. So this is an image of the vision of the streetscape. So as you can see, there is a sidewalk for pedestrians, a protected bike lane for bicycles. It is red. And then we have the parking, the parallel parking pavers, and then the 2 lanes with the turning lane in the middle. Roger Riley from Channel 13 was on Ingersoll this week, and he said, everybody has their own lane on Ingersoll, so just stay in your own lane, which is good advice for driving and other lots of life experiences. But the streetscape actually started as a pilot project. Remember Susie McBroom and her Restoration Ingersoll friends, and they just wanted to do a few blocks of it between 28th and 31st Street. They started this in the late 90s. They literally put out cans at local businesses to collect change, to raise the money. They also got buy-in from business owners, support from the city, and it took them about a decade, but they completed a $3.4 million streetscape project. So then they thought, this is great, but hopefully it won't take a decade to do every phase. So that's when they really started working more closely with the city to get Ingersoll established as that urban revitalization area I was talking about, which makes us eligible to leverage TIF dollars. The SMID was established so that we could take care of ongoing maintenance costs. And then eventually the streetscape was adopted as part of the city's capital improvement plan. So I told you we work a lot with the city. And then, so the phases that you have been seeing under construction, we have been calling those phases 1 through 4, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and that is a $17 million investment. Okay, so why are we streetscaping? People ask me this all the time. Wasn't the road just fine the way it was? We believe that the streetscape is necessary to keep our district safe and easy to navigate for all modes of transportation. So in our mission statement, the word access was mentioned. So we believe that, streets are not just for cars, they are for people, they are for bicycles. So really this streetscape project promotes walkability and accessibility for everyone using that complete streets approach. There's also a lot of necessary public utility updates that happened as part of this project. Stormwater on Ingersoll was a huge issue. You drive down Ingersoll after it rains and like whoosh, water in like an entire outside lane. Now we have these beautiful permeable parking pavers, which are beautiful, but also very, what's the word? Porous. They have a purpose. They don't just look good. They have a real purpose. They absorb all of that stormwater. And so we also undergrounded all of the public utilities between 28th and MLK, which provides a really beautiful view of the downtown skyline now. And then of course, going back to that maintenance component, just to maintain the beauty and character of our West Side neighborhoods, which we're very proud of. All right, so here are those phases I was talking about. So phases 1 and 2, it's kicked off right in like March of 2020. And they did the north half of Ingersoll from MLK to 28th. And then it took them 2 years to do that one side of Ingersoll. And then this year, the contractor was really moving. They did the entire south half of Ingersoll Avenue from MLK to 28th. And like I mentioned, the street just reopened last week. They are still putting some finishing touches on the parking pavers, and then next spring you'll see them plant the flowers, put in the pedestrian lights, benches, trash receptacles, all of that. But next summer, 2023, there should be no major streetscape construction that will impact the roadway. It'll just all be on the sidewalks. And then we will, after giving everyone a break next summer, we'll be back at it in 2024, and then we'll be doing reconstruction in that area from 28th to 31st. So that was the pilot project. They have the sidewalks and the planter beds, and now we're just going to be adding the bike lanes and the parking stalls. And then in the future, it's our goal to stretch this streetscape all the way up to 42nd Street, but those are not quite on the schedule just yet. So I snapped this picture on Friday when the road reopened. So as you can see that full boulevard feel with the sidewalk, the planters, the bike lanes, the parking pavers, and then over on the side with Van Ginkel's, it's completely done. They just have to put in the planters and the trees. All right, so quickly, what's ahead for the avenues of Ingersoll and Grand? In the past decade, we've seen more than $150 million invested in the district, and we want to continue that trend. Shortly, you should see these beautiful art bus shelters pop up on Ingersoll Avenue. So you may have seen these in other neighborhoods. Roosevelt, 6th Avenue, Drake has them. We are getting 8 of them, which is like the most of any neighborhood. So we're really excited about that. The Arts and Culture Committee worked to select 2 artists. Ultimately, they chose 2 local artists, Mary Jones and Karen Strobine. So we will have 4 of each artist's shelters on our street. You can kind of see where they'll be at. And Dart told me that they should arrive in like January. So perfect. We'll have a little ribbon cutting and everyone can wear their coats and hats and help us celebrate our bike bus shelters. Other developments that are on deck for the avenues. So another question I get asked often is like, what kind of input does the avenues have on private development? And that is really a case-by-case basis. We try to be as involved with the developers as we can to try to work in some of the goals of our district into their developments. So a local developer named Connor Delaney recently purchased the Ingersoll Dinner Theater. He also owns some other properties on Ingersoll, if you're familiar with that building that has Bartender's Handshake, Preservation, the barber shop, and Enchanted. He owns that building, and so this is just in that same area. He wants to return the Ingersoll Dinner Theater to a space of arts and culture. So we keep in touch with Connor and help as we can. Another development, the Star Gas Station. If you haven't been to the Star Gas Station lately, you may notice it's closed. And they are set to break ground on a multi-use development next spring. It'll be mass timber, which has a lot of environmental benefits, and that project's being led by Cutler Development, another local developer, Scott and Molly. Scott is from Des Moines and Des Moines native all of his life. So we love seeing these projects from local developers really change the landscape of our street. Another effort that is sort of on tap next for the avenues is this idea of an urban recreation district. And the goal of that is to identify and deliver opportunities to enhance recreational infrastructure, to improve quality of life and economic development. So, as you know, the avenues is a very dense urban corridor. We don't have like parks or a lot of green space. So that's where the urban recreation really comes in. So what does it mean to be an urban recreation district? We are still trying to figure that out. But some ideas that we have are identifying opportunities for these not just east-west connections, which is I think what a lot of people think of on Ingersoll, but north-south. So how can we connect Ingersoll to Grand? There's actually no true pedestrian pathway. There's sidewalks, but no like solely pedestrian way to get from Ingersoll to Grand. And we know we have a lot of great housing up on Grand. How can we get those people easier access to come down to Ingersoll? But then also connecting to like Drake. That's a whole student population up there that we'd love to give easier access to the avenues. South to all those recreational amenities I pointed out on the map earlier. Other opportunities for urban recreation could be finding little patio spaces to activate as more outdoor dining areas. And then wayfinding. You see these are signs from downtown Des Moines. Like I mentioned, the Avenues wants to be a connector to all of the great things that are in our area. So how can we make it a little easier for people to realize that you can get to Drake or you can get to Waterworks pretty easily on foot or bike from the Avenues, and wayfinding helps with that. All right, stay in touch with the Avenues. We have a website. We also have an e-newsletter. You can sign up for the newsletter from our website. It's a new newsletter I started when I came to this job in February. I think it's a pretty good newsletter. I write it every month. Yeah, it just kind of like what this presentation was, keeps you up to date on what's going on, construction projects or developments or news or fun restaurants to try. It also keeps you up to date on events that are happening on the Avenues. So a new holiday event that we're trying out this year is the Peppermint Trail. So mark your calendars for December 10th. We're going to try to bring a little holiday spirit to the Avenues. Right now we're working hard to recruit our local businesses to sign up to be a stop. Essentially they will offer a special or a decor or like a fun shop or treat when you shop with them on December 10th. And we're also partnering with the Roosevelt Cultural District. They're also a SMID, fun fact. So we are just trying to partner with them to get people to circulate through both of our neighborhoods on that day. I think when people think holiday shopping, they think East Village or Valley Junction or even Jordan Creek, but we want people to think about the Avenues as well as a place to celebrate. And then if you have questions for me, hopefully I left time for questions. And but of course you can always reach out to me directly. I'm always happy to chat or meet up for coffee at Zanzibar. So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Don?
the lot on the northwest corner of 31st and Ingersoll.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to comment about that? Is there going to be something built there?
Don's question was about, repeat the question. Don's question was about the lot that's on 31st and Ingersoll. Chase Bank had purchased that lot with the intention to build a Chase Bank. Right now, as you may have noticed, I travel that street. I live on 33rd, so I drive past it all the time. Work has sort of stalled on that site. I think they are in negotiations with the city on site plan. And then I was actually driving by this morning and they are re-pouring the sidewalk and hopefully reopening that lane sooner rather than later, because I know that causes a huge backup, people coming off the interstate and with the turn lane closed. But the latest update I heard is that they're re-pouring the sidewalk, which I was seeing them do this morning, and hopefully that should be reopened soon. But as I don't know the status of the site plan with the city and Chase Bank. Jason?
I know the private developments, you don't control it, but the old Howard Johnson, I know there's plans there and it's all boarded up. I haven't seen anything else happen. Have you heard any timelines on that?
Jason's question was about the Howard Johnson Hotel, which has been boarded up for a long time. If you're not familiar, it's right next, kind of behind Taco John's by Office Max. And plans were released pre-COVID to turn it into like a boutique hotel, which looked really cool. And I think COVID stalled all of that. But the last I heard is that they are still planning that development. Yeah, that's the most updates I have. But I think I haven't heard that it's not happening. So, yeah.
Kind of a question on the same lines of 40th and so they torn down a doctor's office.
Yeah.
And supposedly a restaurant's going in there, a big restaurant. Then second part of the question, the old Ingersoll Theater.
Yeah.
What's happening there and on the corner and all that? What's going on with all this?
Sure. Okay. So Steve, am I reading your? Okay. Steve's question was about 2 areas in Ingersoll. I'll start with the Ingersoll Dinner Theater, and then he also had a question about an area around the 3900 block of Ingersoll. So the Ingersoll Dinner Theater, as I mentioned, it was purchased by local developer Connor Delaney. His first priority was to get the roof back on there. The site was in real risk of being a total loss. They like had no roof. There was raccoons living in there, and so that was his #1 priority. And I've seen people working out there every day, making sure that the site is secured. And then I think he's just actively. I know he's meeting with some even nonprofit organizations in town who might be looking for an arts and culture space. So I know that he's actively looking to bring that space back to life and its original use as an arts and culture venue. 3900 Ingersoll, yes, doctor's office has been demolished there and there is plans for a restaurant. That's all I'll say. Maybe there's someone in this room you can find afterwards who knows a lot more about it than I do. But it's going to be really cool, I'll tell you that.
On that,
Yeah.
how can they stick a big restaurant in, right in an area? Is that a done deal?
So I've seen the site plan, and I think it's really thoughtfully designed, and they've done a lot of work with the neighborhood association and got a lot of buy-in from them so that it's thoughtful and everyone is involved and has been able to voice their concerns. And I think once you see it and the neighborhood sees it, everyone will be really happy with it.
But is it a done deal? Is it going to occur? Is it
Yes.
gonna-
Yes. As far as I've heard, it's progressing, yes. Yeah.
How are you preparing for Des Moines University's departure?
DMU, yeah, that will really hurt. It was also mentioned in my bio, I'm a yoga teacher at Power Life as well, and so I see firsthand that student population and the life it brings just to the whole area. I've got DMU students who rent a house on my streets as well. So yeah, I think we'll all miss DMU. I think the city is still trying to figure out what's going to happen with the loss of DMU. I don't know any more than that. I know they're maintaining the clinic, if you hadn't heard that, and then they're seeking a buyer, the right buyer for the rest of the buildings. Yeah, Judy.
There's a building on 28th Street with all the glass in it that they've been working on for quite some time.
Yeah.
Do you know what's going to go in there, what they're doing?
Yeah, the developer of that building is on our board, and he's being pretty tight-lipped about what his plans are for it. He assures me that the tenants for that space will be something that the Avenues does not currently have. That's pretty much all he'll tell me. He'll shoot down rumors I hear, but he won't give me any confirmation. So that's all I know. But yeah, I think it's going to be a multi-tenant space, and that's as much as I know. That's as much as he'll tell me.
All right, well, thank you.
Okay. Again, happy to chat more if you guys want to catch me after this meeting, or come to the Peppermint Trail, please. I'll be there with candy canes.
Okay, I was just curious, can you hear in the back? I'm just trying to check on tech. How was it back there? Could you hear Lauren okay? Okay, so we may need to address that in the future. Okay, thank you, Lauren, for your time and all the information that you shared. Thanks for your questions. I know there are people here who can answer some of those that went unanswered. In recognition of the time you donated to us, we're going to give a book to the Des Moines Library in your honor. A few years ago, this club donated a large sum of money so that the Des Moines Public Library could purchase a traveling Rotary Rosie reader van, and your book will become part of that collection.
Thank you.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is move on to what's coming next. What I'd like you to do is consider sharing what we all agree is one of the best attributes of the Rotary Club of Des Moines, our speaker's podium, except when my spinal cord injury decides that it wants to take over. So thank you for your grace on that today. Next week, we are not in the Embassy Club. We are going to be out at Camp Dodge for a Veterans Day program. I hope that you can make it, and it is imperative that we get RSVPs in no later than noon on Monday. We are using one of their caterers, and their caterers require us to be fully RSVP'd up by Monday at noon. So please, that's a slight change to how we do things. So that's next month or next week. The week after that, we will be seeing Dr. I think it's Tamara, it could be Tamara. Why do they have to have such difficult names to pronounce, people? All right, so Doctor, we'll just call her Dr. Tamara, is going to be here to talk about her experience in Poland working with Ukrainian refugees. I think that will be timely and important for us to hear. So please make it if you can. And then after that is Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. We will not be meeting on Thanksgiving Day. Again, one of the things that's happening directly following today's meeting is an opportunity for community service. If you can join Sue and her team, please do. We appreciate that. We've been hearing as a leadership team that everybody wants more community service opportunities, so this is one. So is signing up for bell ringing. I'm sure, Al, are you taking leadership of that this year again? Thank you for your service on that, and I'm sure he would appreciate some help there. And last, remember, today at 5:30 in the East Village. Be there if you can be, because I think that'll be a great opportunity for socializing. All right, did I miss anything? No. Great. Thank you, Dick, for taking me on a trip. And for anybody else who's going traveling somewhere fun, take flat mat so that we can see where you've been. We are adjourned.